Hare Krishna. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome to everybody. Hope all of you are doing wonderful by the blessings of Krishna, by the blessings of Prabhupada, and by reading the Bhagavad Gita sincerely every day. Right? Yes or no? Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. I think I gave you homework last Friday. Can somebody tell me what it is?
To read from Shloka 22 to 27, including the translations and purport.
Yes, yes. So if you have done that, you will follow what's happening today, because I'm not going to revisit that. Okay? It's very important. It's ended on 27. With yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam kshetrajnayor samyogat tadvidhi bharatar shaba. So this is what I pointed out to you last when we finished. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam kshetrajnayor samyogat. That is, we discussed everything you see in this world, Krishna is telling here, whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, that is Stavara Jangamam. Stavara means non-moving and Jangama means moving, is only a combination of Kshetra, that is the field of activities, and the knower of the field, Kshetrajna. Look at this powerful statement of science, of physics. Matter and spirit is combined in everything that you see here. Okay? If you look at your system now, your phone, or you're looking through a monitor of your computer, that has been made by a factory, by some scientist has done all sorts of things on it. There's development on it, there's technology on it. All human beings are involved. And that product has come out in that form, in that matter form. So when you see that, you will also remember the company, the technology, the people behind it. Right? Kshetra kshetragyor samyogat. The meeting place. That's what I showed you. This is kshetra kshetragyor samyogat. Matter and spirit. The nexus of matter and spirit. We discussed this. Everything in this world is a mixture of that. You will see free matter. You may say the hills, the valleys, the rivers are all not mixed. No, it's coming from Krishna. And Krishna is the super soul. And there again, it's a product coming from Kshetrajna. There are two types of Kshetrajnas. One is the soul, and then there is a Paramatma. So everything in this world is a combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. That's an important point for you to know. Everything is created by the Supreme Lord and recreated by combinations and everything by the Jiva. For making this robotic hand that you see here, all sorts of natural elements are involved. There is iron ore, there is high metal, there is special alloys. There are lots of things involved in this, which is coming from the earth planet, from the mining, and it's provided by the earth. And Krishna has given you the earth planet on which you live. So you cannot, in matter in this world, you can never separate matter as being not connected with the Supreme. neither the things that you make by combination of matter and spirit. That is, because you're getting intelligence, you're getting the natural product from nature around you, which again Krishna is saying, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. So you cannot see anything without connection with the Lord, without connection with the spirit soul. You saw that? So when you study matter without taking into consideration Kshetrajna, you will not get full knowledge of matter. Am I right? If you study matter without factoring inside Kshetrajna, you will not understand matter fully. Because here Krishna is saying, Kshetra Kshetrajnayor Jnanam. He's saying, Kshetra Kshetrayor Samyogat, that Viddhi. You must know, Arjuna. So what we are taught throughout in our school, in our education, or college, everywhere, they never factor the Kshetrajna inside. Only in terms of the man who is involved in it, the scientist, the Nobel Prize winner and everything. And those things to some extent you can understand. But they will never factor Kshetrajna, the super soul, the Lord and everything at all. That is why you have this climate change crisis. Why? You're exploiting everything as though it is available for you. And out of that, you make your secondary creation of this robotic arm and robots and factories and products and so many things. And you feel you are God, you are the creator. Forget the other. There's nobody called God. So in this way, what will happen is, when you use natural resources without respect, without acknowledgement, yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Krishna said that. One who enjoys these things that I have given you in this world, without acknowledging from where it comes, he's a thief. He's punishable. Yo bhunkte stena eva hi saha. Stena means thief. One who enjoys bhunkte and experiences things without acknowledging from where it comes is a thief. So you cannot take anything from material nature without acknowledgement. That is why they are not able to understand why nature is sitting back. Nature is sitting back because you have not honored and acknowledged my husband, who is Vishnu. Bhumi, also hitting back. You're not acknowledged my husband, who is the real proprietor. So you may not agree with it, but this is the science. This is the science, this is the theology, and from this is derived the philosophy. Therefore, if you find that people are worshipping the sun, people are worshipping the river Ganga, people are worshipping Govardhana Hill, it's perfectly right as per theology, philosophy, and understanding. It's not an ideology. Ideologies, there are many that come up these days. All sorts of ideologies. It's not just an ideology. It's the truth. So this point is very important for you to understand. Kshetra kshetrajnayor samyoga tadvidhi bharatarshava. Okay? Now you go, now let's read from 28th onwards. If you go to text 28, Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatsva avinashyantam yap pashyati sapashyati. Very important. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Right? Yah pashyati sapashyati. Right? So the converse of this is, all of us are having vision, but we don't see. Pashyanapi pashyati namudho. Shankaracharya said, the fool, he is watching, he has vision, but he doesn't see. He doesn't see. You know the difference between what is mentioned here, pashyati, and having a capacity to see. My eyes are all right. whatever focal length, 8x8 or whatever they say, perfect eyesight. No, you fool, you don't actually see, because you don't see the soul and the super soul functioning. Only if you see like that, samam sarveshu bhuteshu, and who understands that all are equal. Samam, you see that? He sees everybody equally. Not equally because I am fighting for equality, gender equality, wealth equality, income distribution, climate equality, all that. That's all bunkum, because matter will always be different. But what you're actually asking for is, I am also spirit soul. That person who is in the women's body is also spirit soul. We are actually equal. You're right. But you can't say man and women are equal without understanding the soul. Yap pashyati, if you see the soul, then you can talk of equality. If you're not able to see the soul, you're only seeing the body, you can never say equality. It will never work. Both according to your own logic, it will not work. So samam sarveshu bhuteshu, who is capable of seeing it equally, is a person who knows kshetra and kshetrajna. Got the point? This is a very powerful chapter. It teaches physics. It teaches science. It goes on, as you see, towards till the end. I thought I'll read it to you. You must read these purports. We don't have time, but we can read this purport alone. Okay? One who sees a super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Okay? Keep this in mind. These are all just not some theory, some subject matter that you have to study for writing an exam, like you study engineering, computer science, management or something. This is all reality. This is how the world is made. This is exactly how we are functioning. And if you look at it like this way, your life will become better. So here, let me ask Madhavi and Tarun. Madhavi, thank you for keeping your video open, Madhavi. Can you read this purport on the screen? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Or if you have your copy of Bhagavad Gita in front of you, you can take out this particular shloka 28 and read the purport. Whichever way.
Okay. Anyone who by good association can see three things combined together, the body, the proprietor of the body or individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, is actually in knowledge. Unless one has the association of a real knower of the spiritual subjects, one cannot see these things, these three things. Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul and the super soul exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. The Sanskrit word Parameswara is sometimes translated as the individual soul, because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is his master. But there are others who interpret this Parameswara to be the super soul. In either case, both the super soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in that way can actually see what is happening.
Right. Thank you very much, Madhavi.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, this purport which Prabhupada is mentioning here, very important and interesting for you to know. Now, let's go to text 28. That is equality, about equality. How to see equally is mentioned here. Then 29, samam pashyanhi sarvatra samavastitam Ishwaram na hinasti atmanatmanam tatoyati param gatim. Shivakumar, can you read that? Or Shivakumar, who is next to you? Your daughter or your wife? Can't
My
see
wife.
properly. Yeah, you want, what's your name?
Lakshmi. Maharaj.
Okay, can you read that?
Yes, Maharaj.
Translation continue.
One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination.
Yeah,
Purport.
go ahead. Go ahead.
The living entity, by accepting his material existence, has become situated differently than in his spiritual existence. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living thing, he does not degrade himself by a destructive mentality, and he therefore gradually advances to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes, but when the mind turns to the super soul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding.
Yeah, thank you, Lakshmi. See, there's an important point here. Also, the same thing comes in Isavasya Upanishad also. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by the mind. Very important point. If you learn to see the kshetrajna in everybody, that is the soul and the super soul, then a completely different perspective comes in your relationships and in how you use, how your world view is. You know, something called world view. What do you see the world as? Atmavat manyate jagat means that how you see yourself, you will see the world. Chanakya Pandit said. How you see yourself, you will see the world. Atmavat manyate jagat. Now, what does this mean? That's why what you think about yourself, what you understand about yourself in your identity, accordingly you will see others. If you know there is super soul in my heart and I am spirit soul, I am not this body, you will start seeing others like that also. You must cultivate that way of seeing others like that. Then actually what will happen is you won't take some material things that they do very seriously. You'll have greater value for the fact that this person is a spirit soul, eternal, and in his body along with him is a super soul. So many things they do to you externally in anger, in hatred, in greed, in envy, in lust and everything will become an external thing. And you will see that person differently from this. That is a very high-class being. That's a very high-class human being. He is called Arya, civilized person. That's why Krishna is being asked by Arjuna, Anarya Jushtam Asvargyam Akirtim Karam Arjuna. How you became like this Anarya, uncivilized? To ask these type of questions, you don't know the basics or what? That's how he said, and he started speaking Bhagavad Gita. So if you're in ignorance about Kshetra and Kshetrajna, you are actually not very civilized. Because you look at everything as matter and you want to go and exploit everything, you want to enjoy in a very low level. So you are an uncivilized fellow, right? When India was conquered by the Mughals and the British and they were invaders, many people invaded India because it's a land of huge wealth. And all that wealth was not because of being a great industrialized nation, being a techie nation and all that. All that material wealth was the byproduct of spiritual wealth. They were all highly centered on spirituality, and the byproduct was the material thing that they had. So they did not bother when people came and took also. Their whole civilization and culture was very different. They're very soft-spoken, very gentle, highly civilized. And these were barbarians who came. They're number one barbarians, infidels, invaders, looters. Whole British people looted. It's calculated now as 46 trillion pounds they looted from India, apart from many other things they did. And before that, for 1,800 years maybe, the Mughals ruled and looted India. They did big looting physically. They were all very low class, actually. They did not know what really is the wealth of India. Because we are always saying, go ahead and take it, we can reproduce it again, because the wealth is not coming from physical thing alone. Your wealth is coming from our spiritual wealth, because we can see that you are all spirit souls and you don't know what you're doing. You're seeing us as body. So they didn't react so much until the Britishers actually started entering into the psyche of everybody and dumbing them down, spoiling their culture, psychologically doing things to them. And then slowly, slowly they fell down from that spiritual culture. Today, what you see as Hinduism is not the original culture. That is a modern Hinduism. That's a different Hinduism. That is a Hinduism made as a reaction to what the Britishers and the Muslims did for so many years to us. If you look at the original India, very highly cultured people, very respectful to each other, very cooperative, very, very caring, and in harmony with material nature. It's a beautiful civilization. It's exactly what Krishna is telling here. They were all very well educated spiritually. This type of education which we are in Bhagavad Gita and all, young boys already know. Gurukula boys are taught when they are 5 years old, 6 years old, you are not the body, a spirit soul. That's the first lesson they get. But we are learning it when we are very old, because in our education institutions, we were never taught this. These are all basics. What is matter, what is spirit, everything. Right? So don't degrade yourself by seeing in terms of the body. You will see always when you feel depressed and all that, you have done this wrong somewhere. You have entered the material consciousness and dealt with things materially, forgetting that your spirit soul, forgetting Krishna, forgetting the hand of the Supreme. That's when you'll start feeling morose and depressed. You can work it out. You can check this out in yourself. So the next sloka tells us, Prakrityaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah yap pashyati tatatmanam akartaram sapashyati. Go ahead, Shanmuga Priya, can you read the translation?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
One who can say that all the activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees.
Thank you. Thank you. 1 minute. See this statement? One is able to see that everything is done by matter, material nature, and the body and everything, and the self actually does nothing. He actually sees. Now you'll understand that you will not mistake anybody else. This is very high-class thinking. This very advanced people only will think like this. To think that we are a great civilization going forward now because of high-tech and this and that is completely wrong. Actually, we are plummeting downwards. Because nowadays people don't see each other spiritually at all. They don't know. For them, spiritual life means being compassionate and giving some charity for one day. In the week, I did my charitable thing. There's a spiritual thing I have to do. They've got a completely different definition of spirituality, come from the Western world. Little bit, if you show some consideration to somebody, it's supposed to be spiritual. Such a low level of understanding they have. But here, advanced people know that the soul is really not acting. Soul is made to act because of his forgetfulness. That you can say. I'm not going to read that purport because we have less time. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam ekastam anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Means he is able to see Kshetrajna everywhere, and in not seeing only matter, he is able to be in Brahman platform, spiritual platform. You can read that purport. Anaditvan nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyayah shariraistopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled, unless he wishes to. Okay? Can I ask Shashi Dharanji to read it?
Thank you. A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendent and eternal. Thus, he cannot be destroyed. By nature, he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him.
Thank you, Shashi Dharanji.
Thank you.
Right. You can think about that a little bit. Yata sarvagatam saukshmyat akasham nopalipyate sarvatra avastito dehe tatatma nopalipyate. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. An example given to you. Okay? Then, O son of Bharata, this is a very important verse. Now, Krishna is speaking about the influence of the soul all over the body through consciousness. This is a stunning thing. 5,000 years back on the battlefield, Krishna has spoken about consciousness to Arjuna. And these modern scientists and people don't know this. If they read the Bhagavad Gita only, they'll know. They think it is some religious document, religious book. But here Krishna is speaking high level of science about consciousness. Yata prakashayati ekah krishnam lokam imam ravi kshetram kshetri tata krishnam prakashayati bharata. Right? O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Right? Can you imagine this? This Prabhupada has written some 60 years back, 55 years back. Right? Very clearly. And if you read this purport, you will see how amazing it is that 65 years back he's writing, and he's not talking, he has not studied under some scientist or seen any videos on consciousness or anything. He is writing inside a humble place somewhere in a top of a temple, sitting in a small place on a typewriter. You must just imagine, right? Then only you will actually be able to analyze this. Okay, Dr. Krishnas Gandhi, can you read this? The purport.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pranams Maharaj.
Yeah.
There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, the consciousness all over there is consciousness all over the body, and as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the super soul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is consciousness of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. Pranams, Maharaj.
Thank you. So beautifully put here. A whole PhD can be done on this consciousness using this purport alone. Prabhupada is talking about how consciousness is spread all over the body. Consciousness is a symptom of the soul, the living entity. Consciousness is not material, it is spiritual. And the supreme consciousness of the super soul is different from that of the individual soul. The individual soul is locally conscious, that conscious of his own body. The boundary of his body limits his consciousness. And he is not conscious of other bodies in which the other souls are conscious of their own bodies. But he's saying the super soul is conscious of all the bodies because it's situated simultaneously in all the bodies. And you and me are not situated in other bodies. Right? So he's giving very clearly how consciousness, if is not there in the body anymore, means the soul has left the body. The body is useless lump of matter. This is big science. This is very big science, foundationally explained, right? This, I told you, is written 50, 56, 55 years back by Prabhupada. And he's sitting somewhere in a small place in Vrindavan, a small temple somewhere, and writing it. And 5,000 years back, Krishna spoke this on the battlefield to Arjuna. You think Bhagavad Gita is not science? You can see that, it's so clear. So here, kshetra kshetrajnayorevam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. This is a beautiful shloka. The end. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage and material nature, attain to the supreme goal. This is another beautiful purport.
Text 35.
Yeah.
Is it the purport I need to read?
Yes.
Okay. The purpose of in the body, the owner of the body, and the super soul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verses 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is a gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is a soul, and there is also the super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the super soul becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature, the enjoyer and the consciousness.
Thank you, Arvind. So that is the end of the 13th chapter. But you have gone through some of the most important, crucial subject matters, helping you to understand very clearly how to see. What's the meaning of seeing? What's the meaning of seeing?
One who identifies the body,
Pardon?
the super soul, one who
Super soul in everybody's body.
Exactly. Thank you. Right. If you're able to see the presence of the soul and the super soul, then you're a person in knowledge. It's also not enough if you just read the Bhagavad Gita and you have information. It says, Yah pashyati sapashyati. So one thing is to read, another thing is to see. Like that. Cultivating that habit of seeing anything and everything connected with the Supreme. Seeing spiritually. That means you're leading a spiritual life. For that, you need a spiritual master. He trains you to do that. The spiritual master is not a person who sees your hand palmistry and looks at your horoscope and tells, don't marry this person, marry that person. Put your investment in this, don't put your investment in that. And a spiritual master is not the person to whom you must go and ask for blessings for having better sense gratification in the material world. And he is not the person who should give you dirghayus. Continue to live here and suffer the threefold miseries inside this body in ignorance. That is not the meaning of spiritual master. Spiritual master, he will uncompromisingly teach you, you are not this body. And you always want the spiritual master to please bless me. For what? For what? Mostly people come and ask for blessings. What blessings you want? That my daughter will get admission in so place. That my son will get this job. That, everything will be fine. We are building a new house. And we will get this. We'll live happily in this world. And people bless. So now you tell me whether it's correct. What blessings you should actually get. And if you feel that, no, I cannot ask him, give me blessings that I'll get liberated from this body and go back to Godhead, I don't think I'll ask him that blessing. Then you're not yet started seeing spiritually. It means, yet pashyati sapashyati is not yet happening. Although you may write the exam very well and say the soul is not the part of the same. The body is the super soul, all these things very good, you'll score 100 marks also. But still, yet pashyati sapashyati will not occur. Now you understand? You have to inculcate this as a habit in your life. Your lifestyle will change. Then, what I told you, India, how it was when people came here. They didn't care for, okay, you can take and go all the gold you want. Fine, take it and go. Take it and go. I don't care because I don't have value for that. I have spiritual value. For me, a super soul. For me, a soul. And as a super soul inside me. And for you, as super soul. And soul, I see inside you. I have value for that. That is what is really valuable. That is wealth. That's real wealth. Okay? So our economy is right opposite to this. Our economy makes money valuable, material position valuable, material assets valuable, and pays no value to the spirit, to kshetrajna, Our economy is based on kshetra economy. It's not based on kshetrajna economy. Deriving from kshetrajna economy a value for a kshetra, that is good. Like, this is valuable for me. Why? It belongs to Krishna. We must respect it. It's energy of Krishna. The bhumi is valuable because bhumi sustains us. And it's product of Krishna, energy of Krishna. Therefore, I worship. In regular culture, even in our temple or pujari and all of us, when we get up in the morning and put our feet on the ground, we will pray to bhumi. Please bear my burden for today. You're bearing my burden, my weight for today. I desire to serve Krishna. Therefore, tolerate my burden. And we pay obeisances to Krishna by falling down on the floor. And then we go to take our bath, brush our teeth and everything. Right? So in this way, you learn to see everything in relationship with the Supreme. That consciousness is called spiritual consciousness. That consciousness is called spiritual. When your consciousness is completely absent from that, you will suffer. You will suffer. Okay? So these are very important things to know. The 13th chapter is one of the favorite chapters of mine. All of them are very wonderful. But in 13th chapter, you actually technically come to understand who are you, what is this world of matter, how is God situated inside you, and how everything comes from Him. How to value what is valuable. How to make material things and assets valuable, really speaking. Not only in terms of money, but in terms of connection with Krishna, with the Supreme. Okay? Right. Any questions or comment?